Welcome into Gaughan Racing. Brendan Gaughan hanging out solo in the studio with, oh dear God, getting yelled right before the show starts, which is always a good sign. We are here, Gaughan Racing. I am in studio and hanging in parts unknown this week, trying to do his best. Brendan Gaughan interpretation is my good buddy, Mr. Motley. Motley, where are you hanging out today?
I am in Nashville, Tennessee. I'm down here to watch my beloved Virginia Tech Hokies. I could turn my hat around here so you can see it.
Works great for the Sirius XM viewers, by the way.
Yes, yes, exactly. Virginia Tech taking on Vanderbilt Saturday in the season opener. So down here to watch a little football and enjoy this great city.
Well, very nice, and enjoying great things this weekend. We now, I got to start the show with.
I mean, I figured we're going to be hearing it the entire show long.
I'm just saying, if you're listening to me, people. I got we have Ann and the youngsters behind the glass there. If they're listening to me, they could have paid off their college debt. Just saying.
Well, you definitely had a big win. Look, you know what's scary is, and granted, it was because it was the field bet. You wouldn't have bet on Harrison Burton, but imagine had a line been put on Harrison Burton to win that race. What that would have
been bigger than 20 to 1.
I guess it was, because our former producer, Wyatt, I believe, did have Harrison Burton at, was it 80 to 1 to win the race, and he bet $10?
I think that's what it was. So Wyatt did text us and say that he had Harrison to win. I just had him in the field at 20 to 1. But a lot of kerfuffle around the old mighty Beard Oil 62. The Harrison Burton win came off the hood of the 62. And, to the Sirius XM listeners at home that are the NASCAR fans tuning into this, the kid did a great job for us. I'm super happy with what he did. You know what? I wanted Kyle Busch to win that thing. I wanted Kyle Busch to get in the playoffs. We all know I don't make any qualms about it. I don't have to be unbiased. I am an RCR guy. Kyle Busch, the Vegas guy, all that stuff. Really wanted him to win. But this young man from Rhinelander, Wisconsin, in really his first Cup race ever, had a chance to win and went for a chance to win. Super proud of him in that 62 car. Bummed. I yelled at him. I said, I'm not mad at you except for one thing. You faded up and left the middle open, and you got wrecked coming to the checkered flag. You lost like 4 spots. He did a phenomenal job, that 62. And my thing that I've said, and I'll say this, I can get myself in trouble with whoever I want because I don't care. If you wanted that, everybody knows how good that 62 car is, Jeff, and everybody knows that, it always has a good ECR motor and what RCR does for us, how great they do. If next time, it doesn't matter who the driver is, maybe you might think about wanting him to be your pusher instead of want other people to be pushers. Just saying. Well, I think we proved with a myriad of drivers how good that race car is.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And I think I'm a little surprised, the manufacturers didn't stick together right there, because you think that would have been a good opportunity. But I also understand veteran drivers having more confidence in veteran drivers than they do in young rookie drivers who are making their first start at Daytona. But I thought Parker represented himself well. He had a heck of a race. He still got a top 10 finish. Unfortunate for Kyle Busch, probably his best opportunity to get into the playoffs. He probably has maybe one more shot this year at a win by going to Talladega. But he's run well in some other racetracks. But Kyle's chances of making the playoffs completely hinge on him winning the Southern 500 this weekend at Darlington.
Yeah, and look, I mean, as well as they've been running, or I shouldn't say as well, the caliber they have been running, Jeff, it's going to be a tough order. I mean, I can absolutely understand why Richard and all that crew is very, very nervous right now with the whole with making the show. And I'm rooting for Kyle. He's got experience here. He'll be good.
And one thing about Darlington, a lot of these tracks, crew chiefs try to make these calls of, do I take 2 tires or do I stay out for track position? Well, that's out the window at Darlington. There really is no strategy. Every time there's a caution, you pit for 4 tires. There is no other option to that. And I think that we see that in why NASCAR is giving these teams like 15 sets of tires for this race.
Yeah, let's wrap up Daytona real quick. Let's talk about the kid that won, Harrison Burton, locked himself into the playoffs. Absolutely took the playoff standings and made them topsy-turvy. He at the South Point, he was a 20 to 1 field bet. We happen to know he was 80 to 1 at some books because our buddy Wyatt got it. But 20 to 1 for me in the field. He was 16 to 1 for a top 3, great top 3 odds. Ford was a plus 140. They were actually the favorite. He is still championship lines, still the same as they. South Point does not have him as a championship contender. He is 30-1 in the field at the South Point. So, but great job, Harrison. Great job, Jeff Burton, the whole family. Really neat to see Harrison get that win. And 100th win for the Wood brothers. Congratulations to the Wood family. Such great people. Love them. They've been so nice to me in my career, and really can't say enough about the Wood family. And seeing John Wood at the helm of that organization now, kind of nostalgic for me. I mean, racing against him so long. So super great job.
Yeah. And for me as a kid growing up in Martinsville, Virginia, about 30 minutes from Stewart, the Wood brothers were the biggest thing we had. And of course, David Pearson was driving for them when I was a kid. But Eddie and Lynn, and even going back to Glenn and Leonard, back, the patriarchs that started the whole thing, what the Wood brothers have meant to motorsports, especially in NASCAR. Wood brothers, one thing people forget about them, they're the ones they were the first ones to do the really quick pit stops, where they were doing pit stops in 18, 19 seconds. And remember, they actually went to Indianapolis and taught the IndyCar teams how to pit. And they actually won an Indy 500 as a pit crew because those guys were taking a minute to do pit stops. So what the Wood brothers have been, they have revolutionized a lot of what has happened in NASCAR over the last 50 years. So to see them get their 100th win, the Burton family is also an amazing family. Jeff, Ward, Harrison, Jeb, Kim, Tabitha, all those people. They're just amazing, amazing people.
No, and you're right. They were the pioneers of the pit stop. I mean, if it wasn't for them, we probably wouldn't have these pit stops like we do today. They started it. So cool to see them get that. Let's get to the top 10 field. Harrison Burton, we talked, 20-1 South Point, 16-1 top 3. Kyle Busch, plus 320 for a top 3. That's a great return for a top 3 on Kyle Busch. Christopher Bell, plus 650. And then how about these names that just missed out? Cody Ware, a 4th place finish. Ty Gibbs, good strong run. Bubba Wallace, were super high on Bubba all week. There's my mighty 62. Parker Retzloff had a chance at that top 3 at the end. Brad Kay, another guy we talked about, so good here. And then how about Daniel Hemrick and Chris Buescher rounding out the top 10? Good runs for them.
When you think about all the cars that ended up being junk and came back to their shops wrecked and torn up, do you think there's anybody, honestly, other than the Wood brothers, happier than Brad Keselowski to know that he brought 2 cars home in the top 10 and brought them home in one piece?
Well, and Chris Buescher needed that run because he, with that Harrison Burton win, we get to the playoff standings. He is outside the bubble with Harrison winning, so he needed all those points. He is under the cut line by 18 points. So it is a
now he's above
battle.
the cut. I believe he's above the cut line now. Because I think
that's right.
You're looking at the old graphic.
No, he's 21 above. He's 21 above the cut line, and that good finish gave him that gap to Bubba Wallace, and Bubba needed that to have that good run. Remember, we talked, this cut line was going to get tight if somebody wins, and so now Ross Chastain way outside looking in with, basically to a place that he almost has to win to get in this race. But Chris Buescher, 21 points to the good. Ty Gibbs, 39 points to the good. So it's super tight for that last spot, but a little bit of breathing room. Solid finishes for the 2 guys that needed it to do that.
And I know ifs don't really matter, but if Harrison Burton had not won that race, well, I guess if Harrison Burton hadn't won that race, Kyle Busch would have won the race. So we would be in the same situation. But had we had a regular, a guy that had already won a race win that race, then you would have a 6-point differential between that last spot right now, between Bubba Wallace and Ross Chastain. So Bubba knows he's got to get stage points. He's got to get everything he can get at Darlington. There's no holding back for him. It's amazing to think he had such a great run at Daytona, and it still wasn't even enough, and he's still 21 points outside the cut line. And he's had some pretty solid runs.
Well, and to me, that absolutely shows why this playoff format through the season, the stage wins, the stage points, every single one of these points matters. And that's what I think is cool about our point system. That is what I think is really neat about how we designed this. It shows that every single one of these points has mattered, and we talk about this every year coming to this cutoff race, that every single one of those points matter, and every time Chris Buescher or Bubba Wallace did or didn't fight for a stage, this is the why those things matter. It's going to come down to that.
Well, you're right, and if you look at the standings right now and what we're going to have going into the playoffs, you got 3 drivers that are going to make the playoffs in Austin Cindric, Daniel Suarez, and Harrison Burton, who wouldn't otherwise be in the playoffs. And because those guys are in, we're looking right now at Bubba Wallace, Daniel Suarez, and not Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, and Kyle Busch as being the three guys, on the outside looking in. So kind of interesting. Busch and Suarez would be really close if Daniel had not gotten that win. But when you look at those standings like that, you kind of realize the win and you're in thing is so huge. And there was some controversy this week. Some people, I know they asked some of the drivers, what do you think about the rule that you're winning, you're in? It used to be you had to be in the top 30 in points, and I think they took rule out. So
don't care.
How do you like? What do you like the rule?
I like
winning, you're in.
Because it doesn't necessarily mean you're in. We've talked about it. You could have 17 winners. We almost have a couple times, and so it's not technically when you're in. I do like the format. And let's take this. Let's say Kyle Busch wins this one. That means the battle is between Chris Buescher and Ty Gibbs at 17 points of difference for that last spot. So it is absolutely super cool the way this point system works, and I like it. I'm a big fan of it. Jeff. Let's get to the schedule before we go to our break. We got about a minute left before we do that, and we got Southern 500 this weekend, of course. Now the cutoff race, Southern 500 weekend, one of the greatest in all of NASCAR. It's on the right weekend, Jeff. You and I both agree with that. Quaker State 400, Atlanta Motor Speedway, first round of the playoffs. Go bowling at the Glen, Watkins Glen, and then of course the night race, Bristol Motor Speedway, one of the favorites. Then the first round of the first race of the second round is the Hollywood Casinos 400 at Kansas. What a huge schedule for the first round. I mean, you want to talk about wild card. That first round is going to be hectic.
Yeah, I just love the variety there. We got a super speedway, then we got a road course, and then we got probably America's favorite short track. So I think when you can combine those three tracks into one playoff round, it could be very, 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 very wild.
Oh, and super speedway race, the newest super speedway race, the way Atlanta races, I've told you, I am glad I'm retired. Every time you and I watch that Atlanta race, I go, whew, I'm glad I gave this up. That race scares the poop out of me. So super fun first round, way to go to them, and some cool stuff. We didn't talk about it, but next year's schedule going to be really fun too. All right, guys, we come back, we'll get to the picks to win.
South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rockin' dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome back in, Gaughan Racing. Brendan Gaughan hanging in the South Point studio. Mr. Jeff Motley hanging out in Hokie country, getting ready to watch his Hokies take on, who is Vanderbilt?
Yeah, playing Vanderbilt. I'm not in Hokie country. I'm in Commodore country. Although if you looked around here, you'd think the Nashville Predators and the Tennessee Titans are the only 2 teams in town. I don't know if most of these people that live in Nashville even know where Vanderbilt is.
Wow, talking smack on NASCAR radio about college football.
Well, it's a great academic school, but I don't think they've really been known for their athletic prowess, except their baseball team. Now, their baseball team's always been good.
And he's talking a lot of smack right now. He better hope that they don't get smacked by the Vanderbilt, and then he has to come back on the show next week and be like, "Ooh,
we've lost to worse."
Before we went on the break, we've just gotten out of talking about the point standings. We want to go back and touch real quick on the overall points battle is also super tight. You got right now your regular season battle. Remember, he gets 15 playoff points, which means that 15 bonus points travel to each round. That's a huge, huge deal. And right now, Tyler Reddick is your actual regular season point leader. He's got 823 to Kyle Larson's 806 to Chase Elliott's 805. So that's a super tight battle at the top of the points. And we of course, would be talking about Denny Hamlin earlier, but Denny Hamlin had that massive penalty earlier last week from Toyota, so that took him out of the running for the regular season points championship. But that also has playoff implications between Tyler, Kyle, and Chase Elliott right there, and that's going to be a tight battle coming to the end of the line at Darlington.
Yeah, and the fact that we're coming to a racetrack where we know that all three of them run very well.
Yep.
I mean, I think Chase may have a win here. Kyle Larson's got a win here. Reddick has run well here. It's just kind of a Tyler Reddick kind of racetrack. But I tell you, no one has been more consistent week in and week out, I don't think, than Tyler Reddick over the last couple months of the season. So I would expect him to clinch this regular season this week. Yeah,
Tyler has been probably, in my opinion, one of the most consistent and my favorite right now for the championship. He's really been running well. And let's talk about those guys that have a great track record at Darlington. Remember, guys, this is a driver's track. This is a tough track. But you look at Denny Hamlin has 17 top 10s in 24 races. Jeff, that's unfathomable to me. Even Brad Keselowski, who was not on good teams for a few years, 12 top 10s in 21 races. These are guys that just flat out excel here. And a guy that we don't talk about any other week, but could be a factor this week because he does it every time they come to Darlington, and we scratch our heads and go, huh? Eric Jones, 2 wins in 13 races, 8 of them top 10.
Yeah, Darlington is such a manage your race car track, manage your tires. I mean, we all know there's not a track on the circuit that grates on tires, and that's actually the proper word, I think, is grating, because almost like the surface there acts like a cheese grater on these tires. So I think that the guys who know how to manage their car, manage their tires, who do not necessarily just go out there and just throw it all up against the wall every lap, those are the guys that are going to run well at Darlington. And I think Denny Hamlin, Brad Keselowski, Eric Jones, those are the kind of guys who have that track record.
No, and let's get into the odds now to win, because you're going to see a lot of that stuff you just talked about right there, the cheese grater, the guys that know how to manage it. And you lead off. It is a track, you said, just like Tyler Reddick. Kyle Larson, another high, wide, and handsome guy. There he is, plus 400, your favorite. Denny Hamlin, plus 400 there, co-favorites. Tyler Reddick, plus 600. Then right off the bat, 3 guys single-digit, Jeff. Then after that, double digits. William Byron, Brad Keselowski, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr., all 10-1. Ryan Blaney, Ross Chastain, Chase Elliott, all 16-1. Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, Ty Gibbs, and Joey Logano, all at 25-1. There's some double digits there that I got to be a pretty big fan of right now. I mean,
well, and 3 of them sitting right there at 10-1 that really jump out at me. All right, let's see. We've already raced at Darlington one time this year, and the guy who won that race is sitting there 10-1. That's Brad Keselowski. He got his only win of the year. William Byron is an incredibly consistent racer at Darlington. I mean, he may not have the wins to show for it, but he certainly is a guy who runs up front. I think if you look at his last 3 or 4 races, he's been incredibly consistent running up near the front. And look, this is the kind of racetrack you expect Christopher Bell to run well on. He's probably been through a little bit of a summer doldrums, if you will, but getting a top 3 last week at Daytona probably gives him a little bit of a spark and momentum. But this is his kind of racetrack. I think these dirt racers like Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson and Tyler Reddick and some of those guys, that's why this track really kind of takes to them, because they don't mind when those tires start wearing down and they've got to run that car right up against the outside wall. So those 3 guys sitting there at 10-1, very enticing to me.
Well, how about the guy Ty Gibbs, 25-1? Guess who? Oh, by the way, guess who finished second here in the spring? Guess who had a phenomenal run here, led 34 laps in the spring? Looked like he was going to have a chance to win the race till he got out experienced a little bit in the spring. Ty Gibbs, 25-1, Jeff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's certainly a guy that we're going to take a look at. I think you're right. I think in the spring, he certainly had a chance to win that race. And I really think late in the race, he probably started pushing his car a little too much. He got anxious. It was almost like he was counting down those laps. And, Keselowski had managed his car much better.
And he did, and that was part of it. I'm looking back to the Darlington Spring race. The Fords were really good. I mean, like you said, Brad won. Josh Berry was in third. Chase Briscoe was fifth. On this front page still, though, how about Ross Chastain? This is one of those tracks to me. Ross Chastain is there at 16-1, but Jeff, this is his type of track where Ross gets himself in trouble with his aggression. He's had a chance to win this, 2-3 times? Been there near the end and got that over-aggression that has cost him. He's 16-1. Does he calm down enough this time to make it, to go for the win, to make the playoffs?
Well, I think my fear on Ross Chastain, you talk about his aggression, I think he's certainly in what we would call desperation mode. I think in his mind, he's probably thinking, I have to win the Southern 500 if I'm going to make the playoffs. I know we said he's 27 points out, but unless he sees, say, early in the race that Chris Buescher blows an engine or has a problem where Buescher's out of the race and he's finishing 35th or 36th, I think Ross Chastain is in that situation where he's got to push it. And like you said, sometimes when he pushes it too far, goes over the edge, he gets himself in trouble. So I'm not feeling Ross Chastain right now. But, boy, if we had in-game betting or in-race betting and we saw Buescher fall out of the race, then my odds on Ross Chastain might change a little bit.
I like the way you're thinking. Let's get to the second half of our odds to win, and I still can't believe that we're talking about the start of the second page. Kyle Busch is 40-1 with Alex Bowman 40-1, Josh Berry 60, Eric Jones 80, Noah Gragson, Chase Briscoe 100s, Michael McDowell, Todd Gilligan. Sorry, I love Todd. Just so everybody knows, I love Todd Gilliland. I've been calling his dad Gilligan forever too. Everybody probably thinks I don't like Todd. He's 150. Daniel Suarez, Austin Cindric, Carson Hocevar all at 200, and the field. My field bet. You want to do that again this week? I dare you. No, probably not. I'm not doing the field bet 20-1 this week, but I did last week when it mattered.
You'd only lose 1 unit. See, that's the great thing about
it. Don't matter. I told you last week it was worth it. This week, not worth it. Let's talk about worth it on the second page, though, Jeff. 1, Kyle Busch. Okay, not been running great, but Kyle Busch knows how to perform. He's not a guy that isn't accustomed to pressure. Could be good, 40-1. But right there, Josh Berry finished third in the earlier race, 60-1. And how about Eric Jones? This is a guy. Remember, Eric Jones. We don't talk about Eric Jones all year long, except when we come to Darlington, it seems. He's got 5 top 10s in the last 10 races. One of those a win, 3 top 5s. This kid flat out shows up at the Southern 500.
Well, he does. Clearly, it's a track that he enjoys. My problem on Eric Jones is I'm not sure how good the Legacy Motor Club cars are right now, and I think that might be holding him back. I mean, they might be a year or two away from being a little bit more competitive. So, but the Josh Berry one, now that one intrigues me because, we've seen Josh have some strong runs at a lot of different racetracks this year. Some he's finished it off with a top 3 or top 5 finish, and some of those, unfortunately, he seems to have had bad luck, either gotten into a wreck that wasn't his fault. Sometimes he got in one that was his fault. But I think that is a really intriguing number right there on Josh Berry.
Yeah, and the problem is I don't have a whole lot of stats for him. It's not like he's been there 100 times. So he's got 2 races, 1 top 5 in those 2 races. So it's tough to give you that stat, but that does look really good. Josh Berry, 60-1. I mean, if you're looking for that
and you
flyer.
think about this, he's also going back to a track that he's raced on this year, and he had a top 3 this year. And I think that has got to be a huge confidence boost. I mean, that's almost got to be I'm going to circle this race on my schedule, because I know I can run well here.
And he's got Rodney Childers, and you know how I feel about Rodney Childers. Never put anything past him when Rodney's on your box. Let's get to the top 3s. Mirror somewhat this week, even though they're DraftKings versus South Point. Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, all plus 160 for top 3. William Byron, Ty Gibbs, Brad Keselowski, all 250. Martin Truex, 300. Christopher Bell, 350. Kyle Busch, 4. Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, all 450. Chase Elliott, 5. Ross Chastain, 6. Bubba Wallace, plus 700. And Eric Jones, plus 900. That Eric Jones snuck up to the top page on DraftKings for a reason. That plus 900 is probably a pretty good number there, though, for him.
Yeah, I think you're right. I do like the plus 900 on Eric Jones. I don't know that I would take it, but it's a great number on him. And some of these guys, it's going to be kind of hard to figure out what are they going to do. Like Chris Buescher. Is Chris Buescher really going to be saying, hey, let me know where Bubba and where Ross are, and he's only going to worry about just staying close to them because he knows with a 21-point lead on Bubba and 27-point lead on Chastain. So I don't know how much a guy like him is going to push it. Whereas I think you got some of these guys that are trying to get playoff points that are going to push it all day long and want to get up there. They want to win stages, and they're going to try to win the race. So I don't know that this is an Eric Jones top 3 race.
Ty Gibbs plus 250. That could be his race. I mean, I think he could win instead of going for the long shot. I get the 250, and I still think Ty's going to get a win this season. So that's my opinion. Let's get to the second page real quick, Jeff. We got Alex Bowman 14, Josh Berry 15, Chase Briscoe 18, Noah Gragson 20, SVG and Michael McDowell 28, Todd Gilliland, Austin Cindric 30, Suarez 35, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Austin Dillon 40s, Haley and LaJoy 50s, Hocevar 60, Burton 80, and Ryan Preece 100-1. Josh Berry is the only one that sticks out. Him and maybe even Chase Briscoe, 15, 18-1. Kind of like that.
Yeah, I think that I'm with you. I think that'd be the only two that would interest me. I think the Berry thing is certainly intriguing, and then you also ask yourself, can he back it up and do that twice at Darlington in 1 year? So I don't know. I'm probably not going to take anybody on page 2.
I don't know. I might be worth Josh Berry. I mean, Chase and Josh both right there. Forge ran good this race. It's intriguing to me. You're looking for a little bit of bet with a lot of return. There's two in that category. I kind of like those. All right, guys, when we come back, we're going to get you to our head-to-heads, which are much better than they were last week.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Or maybe you're in the mood for seafood. Big Sur Oyster Bar has fresh seafood prepared right before your eyes. Savor freshly shucked oysters, crab legs jambalaya, shrimp and lobster. Beers on tap and a selection of fine wines are perfect to pair with your seafood favorite. Whether lunch or dinner, you'll love this fun atmosphere, located just off the casino floor. Ready to shake things up? Step back in time and treat yourself to one of the oldest restaurant chains in the country. Steak and Shake, famous for original mouth-watering steak burgers and hand-dipped milkshakes in a variety of flavors. For some old-fashioned fun, try Steak and Shake.
Welcome back in, Brendan Gaughan, South Point Studio. Mr. Jeff Motley hanging out in the throes of, not in Virginia, sorry, I said it wrong last time, but he's still a Hokie, so he's going for his Hokies. I'm just going to talk about them. And we are getting into our head-to-heads this week, Mr. Motley. And, unlike last week, which we all know head-to-heads at Daytona and Talladega, it is what it is. We just kind of, we just, live with it and go. We are back to having some fun head-to-heads this week. And how about Tyler, the guy you said you like as a favorite, Tyler Reddick, plus 125 against Denny Hamlin and Kyle Larson, and Chase Elliott, the two guys that are your point leaders, are on a plus line against other people.
Yeah, it's just who they're on a plus line against that makes that one really hard for me. Larson and Hamlin, you kind of figure those two guys, along with Reddick, probably the guys to beat in this race. So I think that's the hard part. I looked through this, and you're right. There's some pretty cool numbers to bet, probably the one I like the most, and I know this sounds nuts because I'm actually kind of betting against the guy who won this race in the spring, but the Blaney and Elliott plus 120s against Keselowski, I kind of like those a little bit because it's hard to win Darlington twice in a row. So I don't know that I feel that confident on Brad going to Darlington and winning again or running quite as strong. So Blaney, Elliott plus 120 against Keselowski, probably the ones that I like the most.
Well, and I'd have to go back and look when the last time. I mean, we only had one race for a few years there at Darlington, but man, sweeping Darlington, I don't know if it's ever been done. I mean, that's a hell of a
maybe
sweep.
Maybe a David Pearson back in the day because he owned that place for a while. But
I mean, even if I go back and look at stats, let's take the Chase Elliott 120 to Christopher Bell minus 140. I look at just average finish last 10 races. Christopher Bell 16.4, Chase Elliott 16.4. Okay, they're the same as far as overall finish, but Chase Elliott, Martin Truex Jr., Martin not done a lot for me lately. You know, I mean, I kind of like that Chase Elliott versus Truex. I don't dislike Tyler Reddick versus Kyle Larson. Kyle runs great, had a couple kerfuffles at the end of some races, which has hurt his overall finish, right? He's, you know, he had the Ross Chastain thing, he had a couple of, you know, so there. I don't know. I kind of like a couple of these head-to-heads. I already hit my 20-1 shot. I'm 80 points to the on above my my personal.
Your Mendoza line keeps going up.
I might move it to 100. What do you think? Should I move it to 100? Oh, the whole back of the glass. Ann's laughing. The boys are back there going, "Go for it, go for it." So we might have to move that to 100 now. I might have to.
I just want to finish ahead of the pit crew.
Well, that's close.
That's all I'm trying to do.
There are some good head-to-heads. I do like your theory on Chase Elliott plus 120 versus Brad because it is tough to go back-to-back here. And Ryan Blaney, average finish 17.5, 3 top 10s last 10 races. Not sure where the Ryan Blaney love is really coming from versus like the Byron or even the Brad Keselowski. I don't know. I kind of like that one too, but trying to find William Byron here real quick. Ooh, he's way down here. Wait, William Byron. Ooh, where is William Byron?
I'll tell you, Byron's last few races at Darlington have been strong. His average overall finish, I don't know where it is.
Oh, second best point getter. I was looking down. He's second best point getter. Average finish 12.2 with 1 win, 6 top 10s, and 4 top 5s. So I'm looking at that going, wait a second. You know, why is there's some numbers here that I'm like, well, minus 140. That might be I might take a minus bet on that one. He's that good. Ooh, I like that. I might do a minus. I might make you do math this week.
Well, that's fine. Especially if you get it wrong.
Yeah, but I don't get many things wrong. Let's go to the group matchups, Mr. Motley.
I love it.
We kick off Group A, back to the usual suspects. Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, your favorites at plus 200. Tyler Reddick, 295. William Byron, 495. I just spouted that stat off about William Byron being the second best point getter in with 1 win, 4 top 5s, and 6 top 10s. Second only to Denny Hamlin as far as points and average finish. And you've got him in Group A at a plus almost 500. Does that anybody remember? Ann, is that like the biggest plus line we've ever seen in a group matchup? She's shaking her. I don't remember ever seeing one that high, and it's in Group A.
It is an enormous line, and I know how good Larson, Hamlin, and Reddick are. But plus 495 on William Byron. I mean, how do you pass that up? I mean, it's worth throwing a unit down, right?
You ready for the last 3 races for him? 6th in the spring, 4th in this race last year, and 1st in the spring last year. So you're telling me that I'm going to get a plus 500 to beat 3 other guys who are who's who? I get it, but I get 1st, 4th, and 6th in the last 3 races, and you're giving me almost plus 500 in a group matchup. I'm going to have to jump all over this, Jeff.
Yeah, I am with you. I don't know if that's good or bad that I'm agreeing with you on this.
It makes me unhappy is what it does to me.
It might be bad for you and good for me, given your track record this year. But no, I love William Byron here. Now, if you told me Byron was coming in at 295 with Reddick,
no,
I probably wouldn't be as excited about it. But 495?
Yeah.
Bring me some Willie B.
If it was 295 Reddick, 295 Byron, they're both the dogs. I'd probably I'd look and say, oh, Reddick, 295, I like it. But if you give me that big of a number, in Group A. I am jumping all over that for William Byron. That's too big of a spread for an amazing race car driver. Let's get to Group B. Group B, we got Brad Keselowski, your favorite, 245. Christopher Bell, Martin Truex Jr. right there in the middle, 250. And Ross Chastain, 340. Another enticement bet, Ross Chastain. That's a big number in a group matchup. The problem is his history and what he ends up doing. He's battling for, as you pointed out a couple times, he's probably going to be watching a lot of what Christopher Bell is doing, and he's only going to have to, or Chris Buescher is doing, he's probably going to pay attention to that more than he's going to try to just go out flat out win.
Well, I look at this Group B, and I'm not real high on Truex's past performances at Darlington, and I agree with you 100% on Ross Chastain. So when I look at this group, I really see it between Christopher Bell and Brad Keselowski. And kind of like I said earlier, I think it's really hard to duplicate back-to-back races at Darlington. I think this is a track that Bell is going to run very well. Bell's got a little bit of a longer odd at plus 250. I like Christopher Bell here just because you get a little bit more bang for your buck on him against Keselowski. But to me, this is a two-man horse race in Group B.
I look at that. I just pulled up Martin Truex. Yeah, he had that great history in the past, but you want to talk about what he's done lately. 25th, 18th, 31st, 31st, 24th. He has not been great here as of late, so I do take that guy out. I do think it's hard to go back-to-back with Brad, even though he is fantastic here. 6 top 10s last 10 races. An average finish of 11.1. But I do agree with you with Seabell. Ross Chastain, too volatile for me to stay away from. I do like the Seabell pick. I'm there with you. Let's go to Group C. Group C is Chase Elliott, 230. Ryan Blaney, 230. Bubba Wallace, 300. Chris Buescher, 300.
Yeah, I'm kind of a on this one too. I think Bubba's been pretty consistent lately and has run well lately, and I know, I don't think he will drive over his head, even though he knows he needs to make up 21 points on Buescher, because it just doesn't seem to be his nature anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that maybe earlier in Bubba's career.
You said anymore.
Exactly.
He's done a good job.
I think we've seen a completely different Bubba Wallace. And I'll tell you what, if I were some of these cars that are in the playoffs, that's the guy I don't want to see making the playoffs because of the way I think he's run lately. So at plus 300, I kind of like Bubba here.
You want to get a stat, Jeff, to make you say exactly what you said, that the era of Bubba Wallace overdriving, getting in his head, not focusing. Darlington 2020, let's go 2020, 16th, 38th, 21st, 31st, 27th, all the way to 2022. Playoff race in 2022. So the last 4 races, 9th, 5th, 7th, and 7th. Led laps in 3 of those 4 races. Now we're talking a different Bubba Wallace who has learned how to maintain, has learned how to play the game, has learned how to get in there. So that makes me a little more high on Bubba Wallace in this group, and it's plus 300. It's him and Chris Buescher. They're going to be looking at each other. Chris doesn't have to beat him, to stay ahead of him. All he has to do is be near him. So that Chase Elliott's the tough one here. I do like Chase Elliott a lot. I do think that Chase is he is very, very good here. Ryan Blaney, I am not as high on Blaney here. 3 top 10s last 10 races. So I think I might like Bubba Wallace here at the plus 300 too.
Well, yeah, and I like Bubba. Blaney's the only guy in this group, though, who really does not have anything big to race for this weekend. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, he wants to get the playoff points. If he could win stages, obviously win the race, get the playoff points. Chase Elliott is in a dogfight for that regular season championship, and Buescher and Bubba are in dogfights just to make the playoffs at all. So, Blaney's a guy that can throw caution to the wind, but like you said, I just don't know if he's been as strong as these other guys. Well,
and that lead, you made that point, which makes me say, well, hold on. You're telling me I got the guy battling for the points lead in Group C at plus 230? That kind of says, well, holy cow, stop the presses. Let's just pick Chase Elliott. So makes me think I like Chase. I like Bubba. I think folks at home pick in between those two, and at least you've made a 2-man horse race out of it. I like both of those. Let's get to Group D, and I am super bummed with the leader in Group D because that is a guy I've been super high on, and I like to bet on things. And our favorite is Ty Gibbs at a plus 175. Dang it. Joey Logano, 210. Kyle Busch, 385. Alex Bowman, 400. Now, wow, there's some enticement there. What do you do?
I agree
Motley?
with you. I agree with you that there's enticement, but I just don't feel like Alex Bowman and Kyle Busch are going to have great runs. I think, and honestly, I think this is Ty Gibbs' group to win. It is
So
plus
do I.
175. So look, it's not like it doesn't that wouldn't still pay. So if you pick Ty Gibbs and he wins this group, it's still going to pay. It's just not paying at a 250 or a 495 like William Byron. It's still plus 175 though. It is still a winner if you pick him and he wins this group.
Well, and the guy we haven't talked about, Joey Logano, by the way, has 5 top 5s, 5 top 10s, 3 top 5s, a win in the last 10 races, average finish 10.4. So we're not even talking about Joey Logano, who has a great record here also. So this group, to me, I got to put the X. This is my X, Jeff. There's too many people, too many ways. The enticement on Kyle Busch, maybe I'd pick it, but this is my X group, I think.
I agree with you. I'm not touching this group.
All right, when we come back, we will finish. We actually got 2 groups left today. So we got Group E, Group F, and the manufacturers. And, of course, we'll talk more about my picks from last week when we return on Gaughan Racing.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu. Plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back in, Gaughan Racing. Brendan Gaughan, Jeff Motley, and we are just wrapping up our final picks right here. We got Group D and F or E and F to go through, and Jeff, Group E is the tightest group of all the ones we've had so far. Noah Gragson, Chase Briscoe, your co-favorites at 265. Michael McDowell, Todd Gilliland, 270s. You want the truth? This one to me is a fairly easy pick. Looking at past history right now, looking at where they've been, Chase Briscoe, he's got the highest he's average finish 16. He's got everybody by average finish in this group by a long margin.
One thing I find a little bit interesting about this group is 3 of these 4 guys are driving for a team they're not going to be driving for next year.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see them in this group. I guess on paper, you're right. I mean, Briscoe looks like he's probably the guy here. But again, I think Gilliland has shown a lot of improvement this year. And I think Gilliland has gotten better as the season's gone along. And I think he's run well at tracks that he hadn't run that well at before. McDowell, I kind of thought that team would be a little bit stronger than it is. Maybe they've all got that itis of knowing that they're moving on. And, Noah, I mean, goodness, he victim of bad luck last week. He's had a lot of bad luck the last few weeks. So, yeah, I guess I would lean Briscoe, but I can't say that Group E really excites me.
I don't know. It excites me because I see this is why data matters. I see data that says one guy is a huge favorite here compared to the other. To me, that is Chase Briscoe. So I'm going to take Chase Briscoe 265. Group F, some different names today in Group F. Daniel Suarez at 250 with Austin Cindric there at 250 and Carson Hocevar 250. And then Ricky Stenhouse Jr., 335. Does that 335 give me enough enticement to actually make a bet on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.? 21.6.
Certainly makes you pause. I don't know why I like Hocevar here. That kid just seems like he just
doing great
has
this
gotten
year.
his act together.
Yeah, I mean,
he really is.
He's run well this year. We've been bragging about him all season long. How did he do here in the 26th in the spring race? I mean, 2 positions behind Ricky Stenhouse and 1 position behind Suarez. So Group F is going to be kind of a battle royale of guys that were all right around each other. So I can't. I don't know. That's. I'm not putting an X on it, but it's going to be a tough one.
Well, the fact you call it a battle royale between 4 guys, then heck, give me the plus 335 guy instead of the 3 plus 250 guys.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the finishes from the spring race, 21st, 23rd, 24th, 26th. So, this is why I say gambling can make the racing, the television coverage better, because you could have one heck of a battle for these guys coming down to the finish line, watching for 20th place, and it matters. So that's what's fun about a Group F. Yeah, good point. Pick Stenhouse. It's the most return on guys that are all going to be within 1 position of each other, and maybe you catch the right guy in that one. Let's get to our manufacturer's props. Huge favorite. There is a lot of love for the Tyler Reddick, Denny Hamlin, Christopher Bell, Martin Truex combo there. Plus 105. Chevy plus 180. And by the way, the most recent winner at this track is, oh wait, you have it listed different on your screen than I have right here. And which is correct. I have Ford on my sheet, 270. On our stream, we have, I think it's plus 105 Toyota.
I believe our screen has got them flip-flop. Yeah. Toyota is the favorite. Plus
so if you're watching the stream, SiriusXM, you heard it right. Toyota's plus 105, Chevy is 180, Ford is plus 270, and Ford is the most recent winner here. So do we go back out on the Ford limb and say, hey, they won the race most recently, and they were first, and they were what?
And
what
third.
I say? First
and third.
First, third, fifth. So they had one of their best runs of the season. First, third, fifth, and 5 of the top 10. So, do we like that return?
It was really at Darlington, I think, when we started seeing Ford turn the corner a little bit on the season. So I think that's a pretty good number for Ford.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That's a decent shot right there. If you want to jump on Ford, 270, I like it. Chevy plus 180. It's still a pretty solid pick at plus 180. They got a lot of guys that can win this race. Toyota, of course, the favorite, honestly, for a reason. So hard to pick against them. I might pick the Chevy bet just because it gives me a little bit of cheese, but it's hard to go against the Toyotas here. They're that good. Odds with Harrison Burton winning last week didn't really change anything. So, still some guys that have some value. You still got, and if you're watching the stream right now, we got the odds back correctly. 105 Toyota, 180 Chevy, 270 Ford. The odds to win, there's still some value out there. I still think that a Brad K 20-1 or a Joey Logano 20-1 is still a lot of value because those guys can turn it on at any moment. But we'll just leave that alone, Jeff. There's nothing to really talk about this week.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Next week there will be a line on Harrison Burton because I think we'll see a line on all of the 16 playoff drivers. So it's going to be interesting to see who gets those last couple spots. Yep.
Let's talk about last week now real quick because it's my favorite part of the day today. Jeff, you didn't have a bad day. You were only minus 0.35. You got your Wallace in Group B to give you a solid, to not be 0 for 5, and you're still 10 units to the positive.
Well, and let me tell you, to have Christopher Bell finish 3rd and to lose Group C, that one hurt.
A lot of things really hurt in life. I mean, it's just part of the thing.
Yeah.
That
one hurt.
Let's get to the pit crew. The pit crew had Bowman in Group D, so they got their plus 370. They got minus 0.3. They're still holding on at plus 12 units. Another good day. I mean, didn't go 0 for 5. But kudos to the pit crew. Kudos. Let's go to that middle guy, though, Jeff. How did he do this week?
He only got one right also.
I was 1 for 5 last week, but I did get the 20-1 shot. I said the field, when you and I, we actually named the drivers in the field, Jeff, if you remember last week. And we named guys in the field and said, you know what? There's some big teams in that field that could win this race, and that's why I like the field. And look what happens. 17 units on the day.
And it was crazy. 2 of the top 4 drivers were in the field bet, because Cody Ware was also in the field bet.
And the 62 pushing the 21 to the lead was a field bet.
Well, and Retzlaff was in the field bet.
That's
so
right.
that was 3 in the top 7, or what? I think finished 7th or something.
Seventh,
Is that where Retzlaff
we got 7th in the end. But so my remember, I really kind of wanted to stay at that 62 units on the season because it was, my mighty 62. But I guess I got to put that in the rearview mirror now. I'm 79 units to the good. Find me any sportscaster in any sport. Really? I mean, come on. Find me anybody. The Greek couldn't do this. I'm just saying. So, Motley, we get to our picks this week, and of course, we go worst to first, and who is still plus line, but above Mendoza, but still in the trunk. My friend, lead the way.
Well, I'm going to kind of go with a lot of B's before I get to the end. I'm going with my first B is Bell, Christopher Bell, for a top 3. I cannot, and I like that plus 450, by the way, and I cannot pass on William Byron at plus 495 in Group A. So I'm going Byron, Group A. I'm going to really put a lot of eggs in the Christopher Bell basket. I am going with Bell in Group B. And then I'm going with my man Bubba Wallace in Group C. And then I'm going to break with my B streak going into Group F. Like you said, Battle Royale, Group F, 4 guys, 3 of them are 250 and 1 of them's 335. Heck with it. Give me the 335. I'll take Stenhouse.
4 men enter, 1 man leave. The Thunderdome in Group F. Let's get to probably. Don't think any of the kids behind the glass understood that one. That's kind of a bummer. Let's get to the pit crew picks. The pit crew. The pit crew's going after the Brendan Gaughan pick. They're trying to see if they can't get themselves up there. The pit crew has Busch to win at 40-1. The walk-off for Kyle Busch, which I'm rooting for. Go get it. I'd love to have some competition at least. Then they got Reddick, Group A at 295. They got Truex, Group B at 250. Elliott over Keselowski at 120. And Chevy at the 180. So I don't dislike many of the pit crew picks this week. They are pretty solid. I gotta say, I don't dislike those to the crew behind the glass there, Jeff.
Well, why not go for it? I mean, look, the Kyle Busch pick.
Listen, he can win. Look, it's still Kyle Busch. Or remember, as we used to say, Kyle something Busch. The kid can still flat out get it done. So if they find what they've been looking for and they can hit it right, and but Randall and that whole crew is going to be, they're going to bring the best they have. They're going to give it a shot. I don't dislike it. All right, so I'm going to go. I still got one kind of long shot in my eyes that I'm taking. I'm not going to take him for the win. I'm going to start in top 3s. I still believe in Ty Gibbs. I still think that Ty Gibbs has run so well. He ran well here in the past, and I think that he's still going to get a win this year. So I'm going to start top 3s, Ty Gibbs to get his a top 3 today. And then I'm going to go into the head-to-heads. I like Elliott over Truex. I think that Truex has not been running well enough lately, and you've given me Chase Elliott going for the overall the regular season points championship. I like that plus 120 line right there. Then I got a couple groups. I am going to do the William Byron in Group A. I can't leave a plus 500 group matchup out there. That's silly, especially if you're telling me that was Ricky Stenhouse. Sure, I still maybe wouldn't take it, but William Byron, he can do it any given moment. I'm going to go down into Group E, and I'm going to take that Chase Briscoe. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is on that and say I do like that one. And then my last pick, I'm torn, Jeff. Do I go back to Group C and take Chase Elliott because Chase Elliott is in Group C? Or do I go top Chevy? What do you think? What's Jeff say?
Well, I don't know why you would ask me, given where I am in the standings compared to where you are in the standings.
Because what you say, again, I'm going to go the opposite.
Well, I didn't pick Elliott in his group. I picked somebody else to win that group. So
that's a good point. I'm taking Elliott. Group C. There it is. Jeff made my last pick for me. The Moosh made my pick for me. All right.
So you got 2 picks on Elliott, like I've got 2 picks on Bell.
There you go. So that is our picks for this week at the Southern 500. I'm kind of bummed last week. You know what we didn't say, Jeff?
What was that?
It was the penultimate race of the regular season.
Pete Pistone's favorite line.
We did not give an homage to Pete Pistone last week. I'm kind of upset now. I just realized that. So sorry, Petey. I did not give the homage. We missed the penultimate race of the regular season.
This is the cookout race, and us in Vegas, we don't have the fortune to have a cookout. I love cookouts. Their little pulled pork barbecue sandwich. Ugh.
If you're ever back in the South, Cookout is a great place to go. And Southern 500, they sponsor it, so you're sponsoring a NASCAR group. Guys, that's our show for this week. Mr. Motley, you have fun at the football game. Everybody else, enjoy the final race of the regular season playoffs. We'll see you next week where we break it down and get to everything first round of the playoffs. Thanks, guys.